If you're a regular viewer to this channel, I'm aware I'm sounding like a scratched record. But lately, it seems like every time I've got the news on, whether that's on the radio, on the TV, or if I'm on a news website, or even scrolling through social media, it's never long before there's something about the confused men in wigs and dresses, or the confused women injecting themselves with testosterone so that they can grow beards. And as much as I think many trans people are just trying to live their lives, overall, could the trans community not give it a fucking rest? LGBTQIA+. It's the L's, the G's and the B's that did all the heavy lifting, that did all the groundwork. Why is it always about the T's? A couple of nights ago, there was a piece on the local news about the struggle, because it's always a struggle, about being trans in the police service. Now, recently, a lot of dirt has come out about the British police force. They really need to put their house in order. But I'm sorry, I wouldn't be able to take a transgender police officer seriously, because I wouldn't trust that person to understand the laws of Great Britain and Northern Ireland if they fail to acknowledge the laws of nature. Also, just because you're fuck ugly, devoid of personality and are incapable of making friends, that doesn't mean you're a different gender. And last week on the radio, there was a phone-in about the struggle, the financial struggle of being trans. So basically, this was a non-stop barrage of people phoning in, saying their names for things like Tracy or Veronica, basically moaning that dresses and makeup are expensive. But these are things that actual women are faced with and have been faced with for years, because society has decided to impose that that's the way that women should look. The people ringing up complaining, they've done it by choice. Of course, trans women don't face the financial hardships of buying sanitary towels or tampons. But, disturbingly, in the UK now, 1 in 3 school children believe women can have penises. That's how quickly the rot has set in. And, generally, I'm very much you do you. If you're harming no one else, then just get on with your life. But, can we keep the gender ideology out of the classrooms and away from young people in general, because we're already fucking up an entire generation of adolescents? Aside from that, also, trans women, please do not compete in women's sports. You have an unfair advantage. And also, trans women, stay out of female-only spaces. Is that not fair enough? So that was sort of my point. Live your best life, provided you're not imposing it on other people or brainwashing kids. But my argument that trans women should stay out of female-only spaces is about to be blown out of the water by this TikTok.
Transgender bathrooms, if you're worried about them, I just want to know one thing. Which bathroom do you go to in your house? You mean all the genders in your house and everybody who visits your house, they all go to the same one? So I thought y'all were pretty clear on men's versus women's, and like worried about whether I go into the proper restroom or not. So I'm just wondering, where do y'all go to the restroom at home?
So it's hard to believe that that beautiful angelic princess isn't a biological woman. I mean, for fuck's sake, mate, you could give me some lip gloss and a wig and I'd be more convincing. I'm more feminine because my tattoos are all spelt correctly. But what I love about the way the creature from the Black Lagoon gets its argument across is the smugness, the confidence, the self-righteousness that this is a truth which cannot be challenged. It's almost like the end of an episode of Poirot, where Hercule invites everyone into the drawing room to reveal who the murderer is, usually without evidence that would stand up in court. And I'm glad there's so much smugness, because I'm going to take that argument and fucking destroy it. All of the people who live in my house use the same bathroom. First of all, Disgruntled Towers only has the one, and secondly, there's only 2 people who live there. At present, there's only 1 person at home. Or at least I hope so. If not, Mrs. Disgruntled is doing something I'm not aware of. But when we have friends and family over, they also use the same bathroom. Because crucially, if there are people in my house, I know who they fucking are! Maybe it's just me, but I don't get randomers knocking on my door asking if they can go for a piss. But if that did happen, if someone said, sorry, I've been caught short, please can I use your toilet? If that person looked genuine, I'd probably go along with it. But if that thing from TikTok turned up in my front garden, I would say no, get off my property and go back to wherever it is you've clearly escaped from. It never ceases to amaze me how out of touch some trans women are regarding actual women. Now, I'm a man, so I can't speak on women's behalf, and neither can any trans woman, because a trans woman is a man in a dress. But I will hazard a guess as to why some biological women aren't comfortable sharing female-only spaces with trans women. And I think it's really sodding simple. Let's imagine, say, a nightclub. If I enter the women's restroom, I'm aware I could be perceived as a threat. It's a female-only space. I shouldn't be in there. By their very nature, a restroom is designed so that people who aren't in that facility cannot see what's going on. Generally speaking, men are larger and stronger than women, and normally there's only one entrance and exit. But crucially, if I'm in a woman's toilet, and it has happened before, I will have done so by mistake. I think it happened a couple of years ago. I was making my way to the gent, someone rang me and I just pushed the wrong door. Wandered in and thought, well, where the fuck are all the urinals? Then it twigged, this is the ladies. So I said, sorry, I'm in the wrong one, and left. So any women in the cubicles would know I wasn't a threat. But if I were a trans woman, that's a very different experience. No, if a trans woman enters the same restroom, that is a man dressed as a woman who has chosen to invade a female-only space. And often the argument will be, well, I feel more comfortable in the ladies. And this shows the arrogance and narcissism of so many trans women. It doesn't matter that the actual women will feel uncomfortable. Their need to be in a female-only space so they feel better trumps that of actual women. I said I would fucking destroy that argument. I've covered this before, but there used to be a distinction between transsexuals, who are people with a horrible mental illness called gender dysphoria, and transvestites, who are men who dress as women to engage in a sexual fetish. But then the term transgender was introduced, and everything got mixed up like every fucking thing else in modern society. But what we do know is that those with gender dysphoria are vastly outnumbered by those indulging in their perversions. And on top of that, recent crime statistics show that when it comes to sex offenders, trans women are in a league of their own. No other demographic comes anywhere near them. So, I think that's a conclusive reason for why trans women shouldn't use female restrooms. When you're in your own house, do what you fucking like. And it's bizarre to think that just at the start of the present century, there was a TV show, a sketch show called Little Britain, which ripped the piss out of men dressed as women. I'm a lady, I like ladies' things. If you watch that TV show today, I wouldn't be surprised if you got arrested for committing a hate crime. As ever, thanks for watching.